What's up, YouTube? Are you still wondering what's going on with Abode? Well, so am I. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back. My name is Ben. I'm a media design educator. Today we're talking about the software suite Abode. Well, it's supposed to be a software suite. This came out on Kickstarter more than 2 years ago now. It's by artist Stuart Semple, and it was supposed to be a software project to create programs that could compete against Adobe, but not be a subscription model. So if you want more info on kind of where we've been, you can watch my last video on this subject where I talk more in depth about it. But lately we've gotten a couple of updates coming out from Stuart, and so let's go ahead and look at these. These are number 24 and 25. Now, you can see 25 for yourself, even if you're not a backer, because it was publicly posted. 24 was only available to backers. They both say very similar things. 24 contains more about saying that they are setting up a test pilot for backers to be able to test out the Photopop app, I believe is what he's calling it, which is supposed to be like its a version of Photoshop. He did include a couple of screenshots this time, and that's something that hadn't really been happening previously, so maybe there's something there. We don't know. The big news, though, is that Stuart is actually responding to some comments, and this has not happened before. We really have not had responses to comments previously, and he is still claiming that he's not using AI to write this, but no one knows how he could be doing that because he has previously talked about not being a programmer. But in the most recent updates, he's claiming that he's been programming since he was 8. And in the comments, he's talking about how he's a book where he talks about that. I don't know about that. What I do know is that he said that he's not a developer in the past, not necessarily that he's never coded before. Now, I could also say that I've been coding since I was a kid because I had a copy of VoiceQuest magazine that taught me how to write a rocket launching program in BASIC when I was a child. So I could make that claim, but that doesn't mean that I'm a developer capable of creating world-class apps. So right now he's got a list of features that he's talking about. A lot of these are very basic features, things like being able to create a document, like having color spaces and things like that. We still haven't seen a working video of this, and so far he said we would be getting test pilot access in a couple of days, and that hasn't happened. Now, this has happened before where he's claimed that we are going to be getting some kind of beta to test out soon, and that hasn't happened. So we really don't know where this is going still. It's all still very murky until we get something hard, some kind of access that we can actually look at the app. Once that happens, I'm sure people will be able to pull it apart and tell whether or not it really is written by AI. But a lot of the developers who back this project, who've looked at the things that Stuart has released, are saying that it looks like it's written by AI. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If we do, and I think it's a big if because it's never happened before, but if we do get test pilot access, then we can actually start to look at it. Now, we know he's developing it as a web-based app, supposedly first, but we don't know if that will actually develop into anything at all, let alone a full-featured desktop app. So we're going to see kind of where that lands. Now, he is claiming that he is going to move on from kind of the raster-based editor here soon into a more of a vector illustrator type editor, and that those are all going to be packaged inside of one app. Now, Affinity has already done a lot of great work in making their apps work across each other and building Studio Link into Affinity Publisher, which allows a whole bunch of access all together. So that's not going to necessarily be new. It will be different than the way Adobe works, but it won't necessarily be able to compete with Affinity on that level right now. So it's going to be interesting to see where this lands. It still seems very kind of like light and mirrors-ish right now, where things are being told, but nothing's really being shown, and we aren't getting a lot of data on that. Anyway, I just want to keep you guys updated in case you aren't kind of following along with the Kickstarter. Again, a lot of these updates are going just to backers, so you can't necessarily see them, but I wanted to let you know kind of where we're at. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on this. Let me know if you've been a backer and if you've been following along and what you think is happening now. If I do get some access, I will update you guys with kind of what I'm seeing there. But until next time, we'll chat in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.